Hey everybody, Joe from Complete Carnivore. I know it's been a minute since I've been on the channel here, but we're cooking some steaks tonight. It's been a while since I had a good ribeye. We have some Jealous Devil lump charcoal in here, and we're just gonna go with a good old front sear on this. Let's put that down. We'll grab our grate. Throw that on there. For a long time, I was team reverse sear, where you would start out your steaks over here, cook them until they get to 120, 125-ish, then put them over to sear them up. The last few steaks I've cooked, I've done more of a front sear where you sear it and then bring it over to the lower side to finish cooking. And I think I prefer that more now. I could go back and forth, but this time we're just gonna do a front sear. And what we have here is some ribeye steaks. This one here is an American Wagyu steak from Snake River Farms, and these two are prime steaks from Snake River Farms. If you're not familiar with Snake River, they're one of the best online meat merchants. I'll have my affiliate link down below in the description, so go check that out if you want to buy some steaks. Their specialty is American Wagyu. They have tons of different cuts, tons of different products available, anything from ribeyes, New York's, fillets. Their briskets are some of the best you will get. They also have more of the butcher's cuts like hanger steak and Terrace Major, bavettes, things like that. American Wagyu are a cross between the Japanese Wagyu cattle, which are the ones that are crazy marbled, almost more fat than meat, and an Angus cow. The primes are from Angus. If you take all of the cattle in the US, I've seen different numbers, but like anywhere from 2 to 5% grade out as prime. They look at, I think they cut the 13th rib, and they look at how much marbling, so all these little chunks of fat within the muscle. They look at that and they grade them out as prime choice. You don't see too much below that in the consumer market. There's select, sometimes you'll find those. Sometimes beef companies use creative names, Rancher's Reserve type things, to make you think that a select steak is actually something special. It's really not. Below that, there's like canner, cutter, packer, not a packer, canner, cutter, and utility, I think, are the three below that. That's mostly used for dog food. They can grind that up into stuff like you'd put in a frozen lasagna or a frozen meal like that, where you don't really need any sort of marbling. But for steaks you're going to see in the grocery store, butcher shop, generally speaking, you got prime and choice. Choice will have a little less intermuscular fat. They're still delicious. They can still be great. Excuse me. Great steaks. The American Wagyu has much more marbling than the prime. So you can see there's a lot more little specks of fat in here. You got some of the bigger seams like you'd see like there and there and there. I got some of those in there, but there's a lot more intermuscular fat. That gives a different texture, different flavor. I don't know if it's better. Most people would probably think it's better, but it's different. This steak here is an $85 steak. These ones are, I think, 51. They're about, these ones are about just over a pound each. This one's closer to a pound and a half. I had some credit at Snake River Farm, so I got these just to do this test, so we can test out American Wagyu versus prime. Is it really, what's the price difference, 70% better than this? I don't know how you calculate that, how you say that, but definitely looking at it, there's much more marbling than there is on the prime steaks. That's what the American Wagyus are known for. So I salted these last night. Sprinkled them fairly generously with some kosher salt, and we're gonna put them on the grill now. I'll let these sit in the rack here overnight in the fridge. So they don't need seasoning. If you see this and you think, oh, what the heck, you didn't even season the steak. No, they're already seasoned. I don't use much more than salt. That's about all you need. So we will put these on the grill. I think all three of them will fit over the hot coals. And then every, I don't know, 15-20 seconds, we'll give these a flip. We'll turn the grate, and we don't want too much of this flare up. There'll be some of it because there's a lot of good marbling and a lot of good fat on these. But if it does start smoking up too much, we can just roll the grate, move the steaks. We'll put these all in different spots. We'll get a good sear on them. Should take, I don't know, a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes. We'll get a good sear on them. This right here is not an appetizing look for a steak, as you know, but give me a couple minutes, we'll get there. If you've ever had American Wagyu steak before, they are delicious. They have a great texture, the great mouthfeel, great flavor. It'd be interesting to see, like, as far as just overall beefiness, how it compares to the just prime steaks. So yeah, like I said, every 10-15 seconds we're going to give these a flip until we get a good color on them, and we'll move them around to put them in different spots, put different ends down and all that. So like I said, this will take, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe, and then we'll put them over here. Probably take, these are somewhat thick, but I think these are about 1.5 inches thick, so we're probably looking at, I don't know, 20 minutes over on this side. So I will shut the camera off for now. We'll be back in a minute when these start getting to a better color. All right, we are getting there with the sear. You can see we got some good color on this. It's looking good, a little bit crusty. This one's looking pretty good, and so is this one. Got a nice color here. Now, the long-standing myth is that searing helps seal in the juices. That's a total myth. It doesn't happen. It doesn't like form a crust barrier on the outside. It just caramelizes, colors the outside. The proteins kind of denature and change. It's called the Maillard reaction. It's just for flavor and texture. It's not, has nothing to do with any juices being sealed in or anything. So I think these are looking good. Again, this one over here is the American Wagyu one. I could tell because it had that giant cap muscle on it. Depending on where it's cut on the rib section, oh, it's still getting some good flare-ups even without the coals. Depending on where it's cut from the rib section, you can get a bigger spinalis. You see right here, the muscle's right there. It's still decent size on these two, but this one has the biggest. This muscle here actually is my favorite. Most people say the spinalis is the best muscle that you can get on the cow. I like the one right here. It's called the complexus muscle. You only get this on like the first 1 or 2 ribeyes cut off the, gonna get this wrong, but the head end of the cattle. If you get chuck eyes, you get more of these two, but this is the is it longimus or latimus dorsi, one of those two, complexus and spinalis. So those are kind of the main 3 muscles. This one here, you can see there's no complexus muscle. It would be right in here, so there's none of that. But you got the spinalis, you got the kind of the eye of the ribeye, which is a wonderful steak in and of itself. If you cut the cap off and just cook that, I think Snake River Farm sells those. That might have been the first steak I ever had from them, was the ribeye fillet. But these have a sear on them. We're going to let them sit here. We're going to close the lid, obviously, kind of close the dampers down so it's not as hot, and we're going to let these cook. I don't know, it's probably going to be 15 or 20 minutes. We'll check them with a thermometer. If you want to, if you have a probe thermometer and you want to take it and stick it in the steak right now, you can do that. I'll just be out here checking it periodically with my Thermapen. Great thermometer, by the way. You should get one. But I didn't want to deal with running probes and wires and all that. I get kind of lazy sometimes, but we're just going to close this up and let those cook. By the way, this is the S&S kettle grill. I've had this for a few years now, and I love it. It's wonderful for slow cooks. If you want to do a pork butt or a smaller brisket, you can do it on here, even chickens. I'm going to close down the vent on the bottom there a little bit. Does a wonderful job. Gets nice and hot. It handles low and slow just as good as the Weber kettle, maybe even a little better. But I love it. It's a good grill. There'll be, again, links to the Thermapen that you'll see later, links to this grill, links to the steaks, all this down below. Be sure to go buy them and help support this channel. And we'll be back in, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. All right, the other 2 steaks are already off. They are done. Let's check this. Yep, that's right about where we want. Good thing about ribeyes, especially well marbled ones like prime or even American Wagyu, you can take them to 130, 135 degrees and they're going to be just fine. They're going to be plenty juicy. You don't need to keep them rare, medium. Even the high end of medium rare is fine. You can even go to medium. But a steak like a sirloin, something like that with less marbling, you want to keep that more on the 120, 125 degrees. I like taking my ribeyes up to 130 or so. And that's kind of where all these hit. There's other cuts that, like flank steak, I like that about 135. New York's I like more on the rare side. So it just depends on the cut. But the other two have been resting for long enough that I think we're gonna cut into these. A couple questions about the cooking. The reason I spin the grate when I'm searing is I don't like grill marks, because that is basically just burnt marks. Tastes bitter and carbonized and nasty. You see, this is already falling apart. It's nice and tender. When you get steaks like this with big fat veins between the muscles, they kind of can fall apart. I like using two-zone cooking because you can get that sear, but also a more gentle cook, so you don't get a big gray band on it. There'll be some. That's just kind of inevitable. But we're going to taste these two, see what kind of discernible difference we can see between the American Wagyu and the regular. Let me cover these up. There's some yellow jackets out that seem to like the steaks. So super tender, super tender. Colors don't always show up great on camera, but that's a nice pink color in the middle. Let's take a little bit out of the middle here and give this a taste. Should be delicious. Yeah. It's everything you want in a steak. Great beefy flavor. It's nice and juicy, good mouthfeel. It's tender. You can bite right through it. We'll save the spinalis and we'll take a piece out of the eye of the ribeye here, just to get a good comparison. And that looks wonderful as well. It's pretty much how I want my ribeyes cooked. So let's see if we can notice a discernible difference. They're both super juicy. This one might be slightly more juicy. There's definitely a little bit different mouthfeel in these. This one a bit more tender. You can tell there's a bit more fat. When you bite it, it's almost like a like you're biting a gusher, where you get that squirted juice in your mouth. That's kind of what biting this is, more so than this. So there's a difference between these. There is a noticeable difference. If you're just cooking a steak, one steak, you won't notice a difference. I mean, you won't be able to really discern, but side by side, you can tell this is a higher quality steak than this. Now, in saying that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this steak. This is one of the best steaks I've had in a long time. This one's just slightly above it. Again, talking about like 50 bucks for a nice prime steak here. This one's 86. So you're looking at 35 bucks more or so for this. Is it worth that? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. Occasionally, I think it's worth a splurge. I think it's worth spending a few more bucks on a good steak. More and more lately, I'm gonna eat another piece of this one because this is good. I've come to realize that I'd rather eat fewer steaks but eat better steaks. So rather than eating 4 $20 steaks, I'd rather eat 2 $40 steaks. That's wonderful. If you get a chance, try Snake River Farms. They've always been excellent. Their customer service is amazing. If you have any problems with you, they'll credit you back. They'll ship you new steaks. If something if the steaks come thawed or they aren't frozen when they get there, they've taken care of me a number of times. So don't be afraid of ordering online, because everything will get to you just fine. I can't wait to get inside and cut these up and eat them, share them with the kids, and just have a great dinner. So check out the links below. Go buy some Snake River Farms steaks, and you won't be disappointed.